We've had time in the last few weeks dealing with these various degrees of hate crimes and mystery murders. The case of the Rittenhouse case was not a mystery. You know, we did the shooting. In the case of the copycat kid in Michigan, in the Rittenhouse situation, you know, did the murder. In Jelani days, there's a lot of mystery behind it. It's not a real effort to do an investigation. Mother crying out for an investigation. It did not happen. We mobilized 1,000 people. Illinois State University in the Northeast and Southern UIC and University of Illinois. And we marched 1,000 people there. The police chief resigned. Another police came in for the first time, called for FBI involvement. We believe it's a hate crime. The fact of the matter is, it's a case of he was a student in Bloomington, Illinois as a medical student, taken to Peru, Illinois, 60 miles to the north. First all-white town, but I must say a very friendly town. But he lived in this rain. We found the car back of the Y, down the YMCA, down the steep hill. It apparently went down that hill. And then we found his clothes 3.5 miles from where the body was. Then from where the car was. About a mile and a half up the river, on the other side of the river. And we still have not gotten answers. There are some leads of sorts, the thorough investigation we did with Brother Crump to look at the hate crime possibilities here. The teacher missed him in a day in the class and called for missing persons. That's strange. 2 young ladies he was supposed to have had dinner with the night before immediately logged up and did not talk with Mrs. Day. She's been a champion for a child. I thank you, Ms. Day, for standing up for your child. There's other women standing up for their children across the country. There's no better man to deal with this situation than Attorney Crump. Yes, sir. Man of great moral authority and a track record of service. And his service is growing by days and by nights. He is effective and he cares deeply. I want to express my thanks to him for coming to Chicago today, giving us an update on what he will do. We support him in his efforts. We will continue mobilizing the mass public. That's a case in, of course, Brunswick, Georgia, on Mayor Arbery. The next big case, in my judgment, is the case of Jelani Day here in Illinois. Mr. Crump.
Thank you so much, Reverend Jackson. It is it's very emotional being here today because the last time I was here was almost 10 years ago in this particular auditorium with Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina Fulton. And just like there were so many unanswered questions about the death of unarmed Trayvon Martin, there are so many questions about the unjust death of Jelani Day. And I am honored that Reverend Jackson has lent his leadership with Rainbow Push on this matter from day one to say that we won't accept whatever you tell us. I am very honored to be here with Attorney B. Ivory Lamar, Attorney Nabiha Shear, Attorney Chris O'Neill, representing the family of Jelani Day, because they do not accept this proclamation from the local police suggesting that Jelani committed suicide. This is very personal, Reverend Jackson, to us, because not only was Jelani a productive, college-educated, young black man. He was also our Omega Psi Phi fraternity brother, as is his brother and his father. And so it's very personal on a whole different level from us, as for us. And so when Miss Carmen first reached out to me, you think about all the calls we get, it was really because it was this young black man who was our frat brother missing, and it just didn't add up. I mean, and he was in grad school. I mean, he was doing everything right. Everything right. And so this strong mother and their family do not accept these suggestions, these innuendos that he was depressed, that there was something going on that caused him to commit suicide. No, they do not accept that. That's why we're here today on behalf of Jelani Day, demanding that the United States Attorney General instructs the FBI to investigate this matter as a hate crime investigation, because none of it adds up. The fact that Carmen, we understand it, his car was found 3.5 miles from the river where he allegedly committed suicide in, but then his clothes were found another place.
That's right.
His wallet was found another place.
That's right.
His cell phone was found another place by different people, and it's just not adding up. It doesn't pass the common sense test. And then you look at the demographics of the town of which this happened, and the historical acknowledgement that it was a sundown town, that this young, bright college student drove his car, his very noticeable car, Attorney Lamar, through this sundown town, parked, got out, took off his clothes, threw his wallet somewhere, threw his cell phone somewhere else, and was naked in the river. Now, if that was your child, would you accept what the local police are trying to tell this mother? Because we can't say just because he's a young black man that we're gonna just let them sweep his death under the rug, and we're not going to give it the dedication and attention that we give to young white people like Gabby Petito, who got all the attention in the world from federal. I live in Florida. I know every state agency was involved. I mean, they were committed to getting the answers for that family. Well, why aren't they dogmatic about getting the answers for this black family? Why is it when somebody's black and they go missing, it's not taken seriously? And they try to write it off as they must have took their own life. We don't accept it. We're very clear in our declaration that this was not suicide. And we are very clear that as we approach 100 days without any answers, we are demanding that the FBI investigate this matter as a hate crime. 100 days, no answers. The family is losing confidence in the local authorities. They want answers. I'm sorry.
Lost confidence.
And so Attorney Lamar is going to address you, and then I'm going to bring up Ms. Day, Ms. Carmen Day, his mother, to address you. And then if Reverend Jackson has any more words, we will pay our proper respects to our civil rights icon, and then we will try to take your questions. So without further ado, Attorney Biavri Lamar, a great young lawyer, him and Attorney Shear have been leading the efforts in our office.
Thank you so much, Attorney Crump, to the Day family, to Reverend Jesse Jackson, Rainbow Push Coalition, the supporters across this country who stood in solidarity for Jelani Day. We thank you so much for your efforts. And today is an important day. Today we stand in solidarity to increase our call for accountability. Today marks almost 100 days since Jelani's body was found, and yet we stand before you still wanting answers. Our mission today is simple. We can't allow 100 days to become 100 months, and 100 months to become 100 years, which results in the unresolved mystery of another missing person of an African American. Now, it's not uncommon for things to not work out. Sometimes in business, things don't work out. Processes, procedures, things happen. But that's why you have a 90-day probationary period in most cases. The Day family has given the local investigating authorities 100 days at this point, being over that amount, and we still lack answers. We still have unanswered questions, and they have become less than transparent, and we're calling now for that to change. There are so many factual findings in this case that demonstrate foul play and increase our suspicion as a homicide, but we believe that implicit bias has led authorities to ignore the obvious. Let me make it very clear. Stress does not make you take off your license plate, drive over an hour to a place you've never been before in a town that is 95% white and has a black population of only 0.4%. Stress doesn't cause you to take off your clothes in the car, leave other parts of the clothes, other parts of that town, leave your wallet blocks away from where you left the car, jump in the Illinois River and drown, though you're an avid swimmer. Stress doesn't cause that. This Day family and the local authorities and what they went through over these last couple months is just concerning. No family should ever have to be unclear as to whom is leading an investigation of their loved one. It has been, as they call it, too many cooks in the kitchen, and it's too many chiefs and not enough Indians. We understand that there's limitations on the FBI in investigating these cases, but when you reach 100 days, it's quite obvious that there are more resources that are necessary. As Attorney Crump has just mentioned, Gabby Petito made national headlines immediately when she was missing. It took weeks for the missing of Jelani Day to get covered as Gabby Petito's case has. Ms. Day has been relentless, and her courage and her willpower is inspiring. But she has watched countless videos of ours and surveillance videos herself trying to investigate this case. I tell you today, no mother should have to grieve and also have to investigate the family member of her own. This Day family has lost a son, they've lost a brother, and America has lost a future doctor that's a minority, which we need more representation in that area. This family doesn't just need a helping hand from the FBI. This family deserves both hands. They deserve the mindset of the FBI. They deserve their resources. In America, we deserve their leadership, and we need it today. With that being said, I will now bring up Ms. Carmen Day.
Thank you very much, Biari. The one thing I would say as we bring up Ms. Day, as Jelani pointed out, I mean, to take off the tag, like what are they trying to tell this mother? I mean, when you really think about it, he took off his tag. He went to a town he's never been before. He took off his clothes. He threw his wallet over there. He threw his phone another place. This doesn't even, in any stretch of the imagination, sound like a suicide. Common sense tells us that this is not a suicide. This is more akin to a homicide. So this is very emotional. Can you imagine day after day for 100 days that they keep trying to suggest to you and your family that y'all should just accept it? Well, they won't accept it. They won't accept it today. They won't accept it tomorrow. They will never accept it. And neither should we, because we have too much technology, too many resources, too much manpower, and when we really want to find out what happened, we demystify the mystery. We saw it with Gabby Patino. We saw it with so many of our other white brothers and sisters. We just don't see it for black people and black mothers. So now, Jelani Day has become the poster child for black and missing in America, because he was the best we had to offer America. I mean, he really, and I'm not just saying that because he's an Omega. When you look at this young man's background, he was the best that we had to offer society. So you cannot expect her to go quietly into the night as they seem to want her to do, Reverend Jackson. She's going to continue to fight for the truth and to define the legacy of Jelani Day. We give you his voice now because he can't speak for himself. His mother, Ms. Carmen Day.
Yeah.
I thank Reverend Jackson and the Rainbow Bush Coalition. I thank Attorney Crump and his associates that are helping me on today. I stand before you today because we do not know what happened to Jelani. As they've already stated, it's been over 100 days, and so that's been too long for me. As I've told the world, I know I'm not the first mother that has lost a child, but when you lose your child and you don't know why, you don't know what happened, you don't know for what reason, I don't know how you cannot stop insisting that the people who have made pledges to protect and serve find the answers for you. I know that they're not magicians, but my son went missing. The last day he was seen was August 24th of 2021. I filed a missing persons report on August 25th. His body, the body that was found on September 4th. It wasn't until September 23rd that they identified this body as my son. On that day, they wanted me to accept that they now could identify him by dentals when they told me that they couldn't. They wanted me to accept that they had DNA answers when they told me it would take up to a month for them to get that answer, and it wasn't even a month. So now I'm asking them, I'm imploring them, I'm begging them. I need to know what happened to my son. I had to do my own investigation work. I had to watch on TV this young white girl who went missing, whose parents hadn't talked to her for over 2 weeks. And so they began to be worried about their daughter. And I empathized with them because I knew what it felt like to be missing your child. But I hadn't talked to my son for 1 day. 1 day. And I reported him missing. And it was crickets. I wasn't getting any help. I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the ability to have people out there searching for my child. I didn't have all the drones. I didn't have all the police officers. I didn't have all of that. I still don't have that. It was me and my children who took on the task of going to stores, of going to gas stations and watching surveillance tapes and calling the detectives and asking them, have you checked this area? Can you come and get this videotape because we seen Jelani's car here? Why did I have to do that? It was me who had to keep calling Peru to ask them what were they doing. It was me who had to organize the search that found that body. It was me that done that. I have not been given any kind of grace with just having the consideration of saying, yes, Carmen, we're looking for your son. So now we know that Jelani's car was found in Peru, which was 60 miles from where he went to school. We know that his wallet was found in Peru. We know that his lanyard was found in Peru. We know that 20 days after the body that they identified as him, that clothing was found by 2 young white girls who thought that they wanted to be detectives and come to this area and question as to what the police didn't do, and they found clothing, and they've now lawyered up. I couldn't even thank them for helping us find the clothing because they found lawyers. They've got lawyers. They don't want to be spoken to. And why? It's my son that's missing. It's my son that I want to know why his clothes wasn't found on that day. Why it took 20 days for somebody, these young white girls, these young white ISU students, to come and find his clothing. I want to know why his car was moved, and I had to find out about that on social media. I want to know why, when his phone was found, they had already knew about it, and they still don't know any answers. I need the FBI to come in and to take over, because these local jurisdictions have shown us that they have not made this a priority. They have not made Jelani a priority. That they started their investigation per them, and this is their quote, we're gonna start back over on day 1, and that was on September 24th. We've lost a whole month, and you wanna start at day 1? Day 1 since I've been pleading for help, since I've been asking, since I've been giving you things and giving you information that wasn't followed up, that wasn't taken seriously. I need answers about what happened to my child. Jelani was important. Jelani is missed. I wake up every day having to deal with the fact that I cannot talk to my son. Jelani called me all the time. He talked to me all the time. And now I can't talk to him because somebody thought it was a good idea to take him from us. And I want answers. I don't accept suicide. Jelani was not depressed. He was not overburdened. I read somewhere where they said that he took his life because he was in grad school and it was a financial burden for us. I have 5 college graduates. I have 4 of them that are currently, including Jelani, that were in grad school. We were not financially burdened for anything because my children are smart enough, they're educated enough, and we were well enough for them to go to school. So those were not issues for Jelani. Jelani had none of those. Jelani wasn't selling drugs. Jelani wasn't into anything. As they told you, Jelani was the best of the best. Jelani wouldn't have hurt nobody. So whoever did this to him on that day, you will answer for this. I just want the world to know my son did not commit suicide. I will not stand here and I will never accept that that's what happened to him. Somebody did this to him, and somebody knows something, somebody's seen something, and I need somebody to say something.
Amen. Okay. And as she said, they didn't make him a priority, but we will make him a priority, and we're asking the FBI to make this young black man named Jelani Day a priority, just like they did the young white woman, Gabby Petito, because his life mattered, just like hers. Reverend Jackson.
We're looking at small-town vigilante justice. Vigilante justice. The spirit of January 6th is upon us now. The expansion of violence in our country is much too great. It's condemned by the whole world community. Case, we were in Brunswick, Georgia last week. A man jogging down the street, jogging, killed while jogging. Jelani killed while in grad school, medical school. And there's too much silence from the Department of Justice. The Attorney General, where is he today? Where is the Department of Justice? We want the Department of Justice to be involved in this. When we first got involved, it was a dead letter file, right, Mr. Day? Carmen? And we marched 1,000 people down there, and guess what they did? The police chief that's now there called for the FBI to be involved. So now we're on the questions. Thank you, Ms. Carmen.
My first question is for Attorney Crump. You came out of state to support Jelani Day's family alongside Reverend Jackson. Talk to us more about why this case is so important. You even mentioned that it's been about 10 years since you've been in this space.
It was important because Carmen persistence. You know, she had representation and we respected that, but he was our frat brother. His brothers and his father, our frat brother. He is a young black man whose life mattered. And for them to offend this mother, this father, this family, and try to say it's probably suicide is just so disrespectful for his memory and his legacy. And I understand from Reverend Jackson and so many of our other civil rights leaders, to whom much is given, much is expected. And so we know that there may not be anybody to sue right now. That's not why we're here. We're here to get answers, to file whatever legal documents we can file to subpoena information so we can have it revealed to this family and we can discuss it. We want to know what was on his cell phone. We want to know what was his last call, what was the last ping, what was the last time he was seen. And we want to be able to rely on that information. So that's why we're here, to make Jelani a priority, since it seems to be, as his mother so passionately articulated, he was not a priority. Can you imagine the nightmare that every morning, and I heard Trayvon Martin's mother said this. Every morning, she wakes up and she said, oh, it was just a nightmare. Trayvon is going to come through the door. And then she realizes it's not a nightmare, but it's real. I think Carmen and so many black mothers and so many mothers have that same recurring nightmare. But it seems to be that for whatever reason in American society, even in 2021, more attention is paid to others when they come from different area codes, different ethnicities, different race than black people. Jelani is going to be the face for black and missing in America. That's why I'm here, to help make Jelani this strong, young, promising black man, graduate student, member of Omega Psi Phi, the face of black and missing in America. And I'm sorry I went long-winded. You get emotional.
Let me say this also that the reason why the Department of Justice must be involved, this is a pattern. From Trayvon Martin to Diallo to Abdulima to right on across the board. Arbery, and that is the case of Jelani Day, a pattern of blacks being killed as a form of intimidation. At the same time, votes are being suppressed, ghettos are being isolated. Even in Georgia, with all the hoopla about that case, a good thing it turned out the way it did. A streak of lightning in darkness. Light burns out quickly and it's still dark. So here we are today. This one is a mystery. But the mystery can be resolved. There's a dedicated commitment. Next.
Can I quickly say this? In civil court, Reverend Jackson, as Biavra, Nabiha, and Chris all know, the standard is different than beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a reasonable man standard. What's more likely to have happened here? And when you add up all these facts, you say, is it more likely he committed suicide, or is it more likely this was a homicide? There is nobody who can listen to these facts and say it's more likely he committed suicide. So if we know when you add up the facts, it doesn't add up to suicide, then it adds up to homicide, and there is a killer out there on the loose of this young black man, and we need to find him.
You mentioned the area where Jelani's body was found, a sundown town. For those people who may have not heard that phrase, what is a sundown town, and where did you come to that conclusion?
That could be out of town by sundown. 60 miles away from Bloomington. It's not even reasonable proximity. Thank you, friends.
Okay. Two more questions, and then we'll go. I just want to honor those people in line, and then we'll go, Rev. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, this question is for Attorney Crump. Given the facts of the case, where do you think the FBI can begin their investigation? Do you think they can make those two young ladies who found the clothing speak about what they know and why they chose that area to research?
You want to go first? I have my co-counsel, Attorney Lamar, go first, and then I'll address if he doesn't get everything.
Yeah, well, I think the first step is that the FBI take leadership. That we understand that over the last couple months, it's been reported to the Day family that the FBI has just assisted the local authorities, which there has not been a clear identifier as who's leading this investigation. So at this point, obviously, there's been so many answers that we have not gotten. There's been evasiveness by the local authorities. So we're looking now to trust the FBI, who has the experience of investigating these type of cases across the country. That's where our confidence lies, and that's what the Day family is expecting.
And I think what Attorney Lamar said is right on point. The FBI has authority not only with stuff in Illinois, they have authority over cell phone companies that are not located in Illinois, where they should be able to ascertain data from cell phones that local authorities can't ascertain. Let's face it, we're in the technological age in the world. It helped us get answers in justice in George Floyd. It helped us get answers in justice in Ahmaud Arbery. And we believe if they use their resources and their authority, technology can help us get answers in the tragic killing of Jelani Day. Last question.
Much of what you said today has been pushing back on the idea of suicide. Has an agency or official explicitly said to you, and if you could tell me who, that they believe or that you should accept that your son died by suicide?
What the coroner has said to me was that there's no trauma found to his body and that there's no indication that he was put in the river. Everything that they talked to me about, they said that Jelani did it. They said Jelani parked his car, Jelani walked and dropped his wallet, Jelani walked and dropped his lanyard, Jelani took off his clothes. So that says to me, without saying to me, that Jelani did this to himself. And Jelani did not do this to himself. Jelani wouldn't have parked his car, took off his license plates. He wouldn't even went to Peru. He doesn't know anybody in Peru. He had no business to be in Peru. There was, where Jelani's car was found, none of you would have went there. You have never been there. Somebody who is familiar with that area put my son's car there. Jelani didn't do that. Jelani didn't take off his clothes. Jelani wouldn't hurt himself. Jelani trusts and believes in God. I have a God-fearing son. I had a son who had his head on his shoulders, who was focused and determined to become a doctor. There was nothing in his life that would make him want to hurt himself. Nothing.
Thank you.
Are they also sort of taking that same narrative when they talk to you that he did all this himself?
That is what they're taking.
That's the police.
They never filed until we began the march. We marched, well, thank the students who marched with us those occasions. What happened when they marched, the police called for the FBI for the first time. Second thing happened, in addition to police being called FBI for the first time, they released on the day that we were there, on the report said he drowned. It was another attempt to divert attention. You do remember in the case of Ahmaud Arbery that the first report was he was caught in the house stealing and they killed him. It is not the case. And his first report here is he committed suicide. He drowned. His body was defaced. His teeth were knocked in. Thank you, friends.
The mother wants to say one last thing for America, since we hope America is paying attention.
Me and Jelani's father served this country. And all we're asking is that this country, who has the ability to help us, serve us now. Right. That's all we want.
Amen. Thank you all. We'll keep you updated. Thank you, Reverend Jesse Jackson and Rainbow Push.